Hi folks, you join us inbound to the Bryce Norton TACAN on part 4 of our Vulcan tutorial series. In this part, we will be covering the descent, landing and shutdown procedures in the Vulcan. With an airspeed of 250 knots, it won't take us long to reach RAF Bryce Norton, and with RAF airfields close proximity to the base, we should start to see our destination come into view as we approach the TACAN station. Once we are approximately 10 nautical miles from the Bryce Norton TACAN, as indicated by the TACAN indicator, we can perform a few tasks to reduce our workload during the approach. Set the takeoff cruise selector to takeoff, which provides us with full power should we need it during an overshoot. On the right side console, we can shut the number 3 and number 4 engine air switches, and we can also shut the starboard cabin air switch. Moving to the rear cockpit and to the ATO's position, we can now start the AAPP and connect it to the synchronizing bus bar. To do this, we first need to synchronize the number 2 alternator to the synchronizing bus bar, before then isolating the number 3 alternator and then pressing the AAPP on button. As you can see from the mechanical indicators, the AAPP is now connected to the synchronizing bus bar and all other alternators are disconnected. We can now set up our instruments for the ILS approach on the runway 27 at RAF Airfield. On the left side console, we can tune in a frequency of 111.10. On the beam compass, we can rotate the compass scale to align the runway heading of 270 degrees with the top datum. We can rotate the nav selector to GP and the pitch selector to approach. The flight directors will now provide vertical and horizontal guidance for the localizer and glide slope. Once we are overhead RAF Bryce Norton, we should be able to see RAF Airfield in the distance. We can begin a left turn to a heading of 180 degrees to bring us onto a base leg for runway 27 and begin a descent into the circuit at a height of 1000 feet. As we descend, we can slow the aircraft to our pattern speed of 173 knots using the medium drag air brake setting as necessary, and once airspeed is below 180 knots, we can extend the landing lamps. With RAF Airfield in view out of the starboard windows, we are now established on the base leg for runway 27. We can therefore extend the landing gear and check for the 3 green lights. We can check that the parking brake is off and the brake pressures are both in the green band range. And as we intercept the localizer, we can now start to use the PAPI lights and the flight directors to guide our descent rate. Once we are established on finals for runway 27, we can reduce our airspeed to our approach speed. A standard approach for the Vulcan should see the air brakes extended 1 notch to the medium drag position and then extended to the high drag position when crossing the threshold. We'll continue to make small adjustments to the throttles and the control column just to keep the aircraft on the glide slope and localizer. As we are about to pass over the threshold, we can extend the air brakes to the high drag position and start to slow the aircraft to our threshold speed of 143 knots. As we arrive over the runway, start to bring the aircraft into a gentle flare, reduce the throttles to idle and the aircraft should touch down smoothly. Once the speed is below 135 knots, we can deploy the brake and parachute by moving the switches on the centre instrument panel to stream, or by using the toggle arm spoilers control assignment. We'll continue to apply gentle braking and we need to ensure that the parachute is jettisoned before we reach 60 knots. 60 knots is the minimum airspeed for the parachute. With the aircraft slowed sufficiently, we can now take the first exit on the right onto taxiway Alpha. Once we are safely off the runway, we can switch on the taxi lights, retract the air brakes, and begin taxiing to the parking area on the north side of the airfield. As we taxi, we can briefly move to the AEO's position in the rear cockpit, connect the number 3 alternator to the sync bar once more, and then shut down the AAPP by setting the master switch to off. Return to the front cockpit, switch off the autopilot power and set the 4 auto manual fuel switches to manual. If we wanted to conserve fuel when taxiing, we could shut down the number 1 and number 4 engines. To do this, we would first turn off both number 1 and number 4 alternators and then close the HP cocks on number 1 and number 4. Once we have come to a stop at our chosen parking position, we can engage the parking brakes, set the de-ice switch on the co-pilot's instrument panel to low. On the powered flying control panel, we can switch off all power flying controls, auto stabilizers and the artificial feel by pressing every button and ensuring all lights are illuminated. We can also turn off the yaw damper. We can open the bomb bay doors by moving the bomb door control switch to the open position. On the engine start panel, set the engine master switch to off. Switch off all the radio equipment in the forward and rear cockpits. On the right console, retract the taxi lights and switch off the pressure head heaters. Moving again to the AEO's position in the rear cockpit, set both 115 volt transformers and 28 volt transformer rectifier units to off. Returning to the front cockpit, confirm that the 4 throttle levers are all in the idle position, before then left clicking on the base of each throttle lever to move them to the HP cocks shut position. As the engine shut down, on the centre fuel console we can set the 4 auto manual switches to manual and set all the fuel pumps to off. On the AFB, open the entrance door. On the right side console, switch off all external lighting before then switching off the master switch. Moving back to the AEO's position, we can set all 4 alternators to off. On the right side console, ensure all 4 engine air switches and both cabin air switches are set to shut. Set the AVS master switch to off. On the AFB, enable the chocks and covers and then set the parking brake to off. Finally, returning to the AEO's position in the rear cockpit for one final time, switch off the battery. and with the battery off, and the sound of the outside environment now overpowering the sound of the aircraft, we have successfully shut down the Vulcan, and we have completed the tutorial flight. We hope this tutorial series has been a useful tool in helping you get up to speed in the Vulcan, and we hope it leads you to completing many rewarding flights with the aircraft in the future. Once you get comfortable with the aircraft, the world is your oyster. You can fly the aircraft on ultra long haul routes thanks to the air-to-air refueling capabilities, or you can fly the aircraft on low level flights through the valleys, or even fly the aircraft on airshow routines. If this tutorial series has been useful, please let us know in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any additional questions about the Vulcan that wasn't covered in this tutorial series, please do reach out to us on the JustFlight forums. We constantly monitor the forums, and we are more than happy to discuss all things Vulcan, as well as any of our other products.